USPS lost my $5,000 package, and then sent me a coupon. I didn't accept it, I sued it and won. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who ends up in a legal battle with the United States Postal Service. But then again, I never thought they'd lose something that meant everything to me. It was early October in Boston. The leaves were just starting to turn, painting the city in shades of amber and gold. I'd been working on a custom jewelry collection for nearly 8 months. 5 handcrafted pieces made with rare gemstones and metals I'd sourced from across the country. This wasn't just any collection. It was my submission for the National Artisan Jewelry Competition in San Francisco, an opportunity that could launch my career to heights I'd only dreamed of. The deadline was approaching fast. After carefully packaging each piece in custom-fitted cases, I meticulously wrapped them in layers of bubble wrap and placed them in a sturdy box. The contents were worth well over $5,000, not just in materials but in hundreds of hours of work. I even paid extra for the special handling, insurance, and tracking. The postal worker behind the counter assured me, "This will be there in 2 days, guaranteed. It's fully insured, so you've got nothing to worry about." Nothing to worry about. Those words would haunt me for months to come. The package was supposed to arrive on Thursday. The competition submissions had to be in by Friday afternoon. I planned it perfectly, or so I thought. Thursday came and went with no delivery confirmation. I checked the tracking obsessively. The last update showed it leaving a distribution center in Chicago the previous day. By Friday morning, panic had set in. I called the USPS customer service line and waited on hold for an hour and 23 minutes before speaking to a representative named Kevin. "I'm sorry, but according to our system, your package is still in transit," Kevin said, his voice flat and rehearsed. "Sometimes tracking doesn't update in real time, but the competition deadline is today," I said, my voice cracking. "This package contains months of my work. It's insured for $5,000. "I understand your concern," he replied in a tone that suggested he didn't understand at all. "Let's give it until the end of the day. If it doesn't arrive, you can file a claim for the insurance." I hung up and immediately called the competition organizers, explaining my situation and begging for an extension. They were sympathetic but firm. Rules were rules, and without my physical submission arriving that day, I would be disqualified. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the tracking page that still hadn't updated. Outside, rain began to fall, streaking down my windows like tears. 8 months of work, countless late nights, thousands of dollars in materials, all potentially gone. As the reality sank in, I realized this wasn't just about missing a competition. This was about accountability, responsibility, and standing up for myself. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would test my patience, resilience, and determination in ways I never imagined. 2 weeks passed with no sign of my package. I'd filed the insurance claim the day after the missed deadline, providing detailed photos of each piece, material receipts, and documentation of the hours spent creating them. The competition had come and gone. I watched the winners announced on a live stream, feeling a hollow ache in my chest as I wondered if my pieces could have earned recognition. Then, on a crisp November morning, I received an email from USPS Claims Department. "We regret to inform you that after thorough investigation, your package with tracking number US 98765432100 has been deemed lost in transit. As per your insurance claim, we are offering compensation in the amount of $50, as well as a $20 coupon for future USPS services. We apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused." I stared at my screen in disbelief. $50? And a coupon? For a $5,000 loss? Felt like a slap in the face. I immediately called the claims department. After navigating through an automated menu system that seemed designed to make callers give up, I finally reached a supervisor named Marjorie. "I'm looking at your claim now," Marjorie said after I explained the situation. "It says here that you didn't provide sufficient evidence of the value." I sent photographs, receipts for materials, documentation of the work hours, everything that was asked for. I countered, struggling to keep my voice steady. "Well, without the actual items, it's difficult to verify their true value. The $50 is our standard compensation for lost packages without verifiable value. The conversation went in circles. No matter how I explained it, Marjorie stuck to the script. Before ending the call, she added, "You're welcome to appeal the decision, but I should warn you that appeals typically take 4 to 6 months to process." That night, I barely slept. I paced my small apartment, replaying the conversation in my head. The competition opportunity was gone forever. My work was gone. And now the USPS was essentially telling me that my art, my time, my craft had no value. The next morning, I called my cousin Maya, who had just finished law school. "They can't do this," she said after I explained the situation. "You paid for insurance. You have documentation. This is a clear breach of contract." "So what do I do?" I asked. "You could file an appeal with USPS, but honestly, that system is designed to wear people down until they give up. You need to make them take you seriously." She paused. "Have you considered filing a lawsuit in small claims court?" The idea seemed intimidating. I was just an independent jewelry artist going up against a massive government agency. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't just accept their insulting offer. This wasn't just about the money anymore, it was about principle. "I'll do it," I said, feeling a surge of determination. "But I have no idea where to start." "Don't worry," Maya replied. "I'll help you. First thing tomorrow, we're going to gather every shred of evidence you have. Emails, receipts, tracking information, photographs, everything. This is going to be a fight, but it's one worth fighting." For the first time since my package disappeared, I felt a glimmer of hope. I might have lost my chance at the competition, but I wasn't going to let USPS dismiss the value of my work so easily. The Boston winter had settled in by the time our court date arrived. 3 months had passed since I'd filed my lawsuit in small claims court against the United States Postal Service. 3 months of gathering evidence, preparing statements, and dealing with motion after motion from USPS attorneys attempting to dismiss the case. Maya had connected me with her friend Alex, a lawyer who specialized in consumer rights cases. He'd agreed to represent me for a reduced fee, believing my case could set an important precedent. "Remember," Alex said as we walked up the courthouse steps, our breath visible in the January air. "They're counting on you being intimidated. Most people give up when faced with their bureaucracy. The fact that we've made it this far already puts us ahead." The courtroom was smaller than I'd imagined, with worn wooden benches and fluorescent lighting that buzzed faintly overhead. On one side sat our small team, me, Alex, and Maya, who had come for moral support. On the other side was a USPS attorney named Mr. Richardson, a stern-looking man in his 50s with wire-rimmed glasses and a perfectly pressed suit. When the judge entered, an older woman with silver hair and piercing eyes, everyone stood. As the proceedings began, I felt my heart racing. Mr. Richardson spoke first. "Your Honor, the United States Postal Service has clear policies regarding insurance claims. The plaintiff was offered compensation according to established guidelines. This case has no merit and should be dismissed." Then it was Alex's turn. He approached the bench confidently. "Your Honor, my client paid for insurance specifically to protect against this exact scenario. She provided extensive documentation of the value of these custom jewelry pieces, including material costs, work hours, and expert appraisals. The USPS's offer of $50 and a coupon is not just inadequate. It's a breach of their contractual obligation." The judge listened carefully, occasionally glancing at the stack of evidence we'd submitted. Then she turned to me. "Would you like to make a statement?" I stood, my legs shaking slightly. "Your Honor, I'm not just seeking compensation for lost materials. These pieces represented my artistic vision, countless hours of craftsmanship, and a career opportunity that cannot be replaced. When the USPS loses a package, they're not just losing an object, they're affecting people's lives and livelihoods. All I'm asking is that they honor the insurance I paid for in good faith." Mr. Richardson countered with technical arguments about claim procedures and valuation methods. He presented internal USPS documents outlining their compensation policies. But the judge seemed unimpressed. "Mr. Richardson," she interrupted at one point, If the USPS offers insurance for $5,000, collects payment for that insurance, and then refuses to honor it when a claim is made, what exactly is the purpose of offering insurance in the first place? He stammered through a response about verification requirements and standard procedures. But the judge's question had hit the heart of the matter. After 3 hours of testimony and arguments, the judge announced she would review the evidence and issue a ruling within 2 weeks. As we left the courthouse, Alex seemed cautiously optimistic. "She was asking the right questions," he said. "That's usually a good sign." The next 14 days were some of the longest of my life. I tried to focus on new jewelry projects, but my mind kept returning to the courtroom, replaying every word, every reaction. Whatever the outcome, I was proud that I'd stood up for myself. I hadn't accepted their dismissive offer. I had fought back. Then, on a snowy February afternoon, I received the email from the court clerk. With trembling fingers, I opened it and began to read. Judgment in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $30,000. I read the line 3 times before I fully processed what it meant. We had won. Not only had we won, but the judge had awarded an amount 6 times what I had originally insured the package for. I immediately called Alex, who was just as surprised by the amount. "The additional $25,000 is punitive damages," he explained after reading through the full judgment. The judge cited willful negligence and bad faith insurance practices. She specifically mentioned that offering a coupon as compensation demonstrated a callous disregard for the value of customers' property and trust. The judgment included a detailed opinion in which the judge noted that my case represented a pattern of behavior that needed to be addressed. She wrote that insurance contracts were meaningless if companies could arbitrarily decide not to honor them, and that USPS had an obligation to handle people's possessions with appropriate care and responsibility. News of the judgment spread quickly. A local Boston paper ran a story about the case, which was then picked up by several national outlets and consumer rights blogs. My inbox filled with messages from people sharing similar experiences, thanking me for standing up to a system that so many found intimidating and impenetrable. Of course, the USPS filed an appeal, but their arguments were quickly rejected. 6 weeks after the judgment, a check arrived in my mail, delivered, ironically, by a USPS carrier. Standing in my kitchen, holding that check, I felt a complex mix of emotions. The money couldn't replace the opportunity I'd lost with the competition, but it would allow me to invest in new equipment, better materials, and perhaps even a small studio space outside my apartment. More importantly, I'd learned something valuable about standing up for myself. It would have been easier to accept their insulting offer, to take the $50 and the coupon and move on. Many people would have, but sometimes the harder path is the right one. That spring, I organized a special exhibition of my work at a local gallery, including recreations of the pieces that had been lost. I called the exhibition Delivered, a small irony that wasn't lost on those familiar with my story. The turnout was beyond anything I could have imagined, with several pieces selling on opening night. A representative from the National Artisan Jewelry Competition even attended, inviting me to submit to the following year's event with a guaranteed feature spot. As I looked around at the crowded gallery, at people admiring my work, at the opportunities that now lay before me, I realized something important. Sometimes what seems like a devastating loss can lead to unexpected gains. My package may have been lost, but in fighting for what was right, I had found something more valuable, my voice. And that, unlike any package, was something that could never be lost in transit.